All right. So just a little update in terms of the Twisting Blades build I did. There are a few sort of major changes I made. So we'll start off with, I'm not going to go over the whole build. You can watch the old video for that, which I'll link somewhere, learning the YouTube stuff, but I will link that directly to that video. But the main change I made here was I got rid of Dark Shroud. So I had a point in there, and I think, did I take crit chance? Yeah, I think I took crit chance. I know a lot of people take the movement speed as well. But yeah, I wasn't really feeling like I was getting damage reduction from this. You pop these and they're gone. When you're fighting mobs of enemies, it's just like these, the shrouds, the shadows, whatever they're called, disappear way too fast. And I felt like I wasn't getting a benefit. So I got rid of that. So just 3 points out of there. And I actually switched back to Shadow Clone. I didn't really like it before. I'm still not 100% sure. I can never see if my shadow's actually doing anything amongst all the chaos. But I did go back to that instead. I figured it would potentially give me some more DPS just because Dark Shroud didn't feel like it was doing anything. And after removing it, I didn't feel any squishier, like I was taking more damage from that loss of damage reduction. And then it just freed up some other aspects on my build as well. We'll come to that in a second. But yeah, everything else is pretty much the same. I update my build that I'm going to link below in the description as well. I'm constantly updating that, both that and my Paragon board as I'm messing around. Obviously, this is going to be in flux as there's buffs and nerfs and just as I get a feel for this kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't remember if I had dash, but having dash back has been really nice as well. I messed with cold a little bit. It didn't feel that great. I felt like I had to put more points into it, and then just my I don't know, my brain, I'd keep overwriting poison with cold, and then I wouldn't do as much poison damage, and poison is way more important. So I just decided to go with Shadow Clone. It's not going to overwrite my poison. Yeah, so basically that's that. No huge changes here, just the Dark Shroud into the Shadow Clone. I actually got a really big power spike recently. I went from like 8k attack power to almost 12k attack power. I went from like 600 and something dex to 932 right now. I got some all stat stuff for my strength and int. So my Paragon board, it activated a lot of stuff on my Paragon board, a lot of the rare nodes. And that was mainly from this crossbow, which had the 60 all stats, which isn't even that's the lowest roll I could get on it. And then my dex roll on it was really big as well. And that added quite a bit. That's 93.2% increased skill damage, which is nice. So yeah, I'm working on my 4th board, about to add my 5th board. I'll show you that real quick, might as well. Again, this is Paragon boards, I feel, are very hard to copy just because everybody's doing different things. I have that 180 whatever dex and the 60 all stats. You might not, you might need to take certain points elsewhere. I might actually go back and remove some dex here, take some strength instead, because again, up until this board, I have pretty much everything active now, except my intelligence. So I need a bit more intelligence, which I can grab a few nodes here and there to get it. I think I have some magic nodes with, magic nodes with int over here, but that's going to cost a few points. So I'm going to be shuffling things around quite a bit. So it's really hard to copy somebody's Paragon board, but this just kind of gives you an idea. But I am going into my next board very soon here, which is very likely going to be Tricks of the Trade. So just kind of show you quick what I'm going to be doing with that. We're going to rotate this all the way around. So basically, I do want Tricks of the Trade. Your marksman skills grant your next cutthroat skill 25% increased damage, and your cutthroat skills grant your next marksman skill 25% increased damage. So they both complement each other quite a bit. And I do alternate between the two of them quite a bit in combat. So I think that's going to be really good. That's actually only going to be my 2nd legendary node I've grabbed. I haven't really liked other ones too much. But yeah, I'm going to make a line for that. Or was I going up here? I have it updated in my in my actual build, which again, I'll link below. I think I'm actually going up this way, grabbing all these. Then I'm going to come down and grab these and then go over here. I have some really nice stuff over here. More damage to elites. There's actually some really nice nodes on here altogether. Basically, this is the only one I'm ignoring. The other ones are all kind of nice. Like, it would be nice to get up there for the crit damage and the physical damage. This is just armor and dex. Shadow resistance, we don't care. This one's pretty nice though. 12% to close and 4.5% damage reduction to close. So a little bit of attack and defense there. As you can see, I'm going to need 530 strength, but I'm actually getting pretty close to it. And that all stats on my crossbow really helped with that. But yeah, so I'm going to have to shuffle some stuff around. I have plenty of dex. So probably going to ditch some dex nodes to grab some strength nodes and stuff like that. But yeah, basically gonna go up here, grab all this, grab this, come over here, grab the glyph socket, and then kind of go from there. And then I might go back and pick some things up here and there. There's some magic strength nodes here that might help up there. Yeah, lots of stuff I'm gonna have to shuffle around as we go here. I'm only level 86. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get everything I want, but it's all gonna be a bit of an experiment for me. But yeah, that's kind of my Paragon board. What else did I want to talk about? I actually switched from dual daggers to a sword and a dagger. Now, I'm not 100% sure how this all works. I did lose the 30% damage to close from having two daggers. I think they stack. I now have critical strike damage instead, but I actually did roll a higher 35.3% damage to close on this sword to kind of make up for that. So it actually turned out to be a really good upgrade for me. This is going to be temporary though. I'm trying to get, well, it might be permanent if I never get Doombringer, but I've been seeing a lot of people with it. So we're aiming to try and get Doombringer to fill in this sword slot. And then we're going to keep this dagger as well. I'll go over all my items just briefly. I'll leave the stats up on screen for you to see real quick. I won't talk about it or anything, just so you can kind of take a peek. But yeah, we're aiming to get Doombringer in this slot. So right now I have an aspect on this that's kind of, it's nice, but it's not something I plan to have there forever. Something I can easily just replace with Doombringer. But yeah, another thing, the reason I went with both a sword and a dagger was because of weapon mastery, which is up here. So weapon mastery, with daggers, you get 15% increased damage to healthy enemies, and with swords, you get 9% increased damage. So I'm not 100% sure on this. Somebody smarter than me and with more knowledge than me would probably know. But with two daggers, I don't think you're getting 30% increased damage to healthy. I think you're just getting that 15% increased damage. Going with a sword and a dagger, I think you're now dipping into both. So again, with two swords, you're not going to get 18% increased damage. You're just going to get the 9. So I figured having one of each is going to let me double dip into this, and because you're using both at the same time, right? So hopefully that's the case, and that helped. So that's why I went with sword and dagger. I don't know if that's the best play, but that's what I'm doing right now until I hear otherwise. Oh, one major aspect. I used to have siphon victuals or whatever on my my chest piece. So lucky hit, damaging a vulnerable enemy with a core skill, has up to a 13% chance to drop a healing potion. I found it to actually be useless. I thought it would be nice to have a lot more potions drop and stuff like that, but I really wasn't using potions very much. Maybe one or two here and there just to top up, and then there were usually plenty of potions on the ground to pick up and fill my stock. I found this to be useless, so this ended up freeing me a spot. So I had to do some major juggling around. So I ended up removing that from my chest, and I actually moved my barrier from my amulet, which it was very nice being on my amulet because I was getting like a 9,000 plus health shield, which was very, very nice. But I'm not that squishy, and I usually have enough sustain to keep going. So dropping it down to my chest and only having a 5,000 health shield is still pretty nice. It still gives me that extra buffer. It's still giving me a lot of life, not as much as before, but I mean, I have a fair amount down here now too. And then I actually moved my twisting blades, my blade dancer aspect, from my gloves to my amulet now, which is going to give me that 50% bonus from being on an amulet. So that just helps my twisting blades be a little bit better. And then on my gloves, I ended up doing the imitated imbuement for my shadow clone again. Again, I'm not 100% sold on shadow clone. So if that doesn't pan out, I could go with something else and then replace this. But for now, the build's feeling nice, so I stuck with this. So yeah, we did all kinds of juggling around, and that's where we ended up. But I will silently go over my items real quick, just so you can have a quick peek if you need to pause the video or whatever. There you go. Actually, this is a new one. I'll talk about this for a sec. The disobedience aspect, you gain 0.45% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 45%. So I actually have a max roll of this, but I didn't want to put it on here because I wasn't 100% sure. And this is one of my lowest item power items. So this might get upgraded sort of soon. But I thought this was kind of nice because it's any form of damage gets that stacking armor to increase. So including poison damage, which is actually really cool. So if you poison a bunch of stuff, all those ticks are going to keep stacking up your armor. So I threw that on there to give it a try. This was in place of the enshrouding aspect, which was the stand still for 3 seconds to get an extra dark shroud shadow. And again, we moved away from that, and I never stand still. I don't know about you as rogues, but I do not sit still. I have 4 dashes. I have 4 dashes, 4 evades, 2 dashes, and 2 shadow steps. I do not sit still. I don't sit still for 1 second. I definitely don't sit still for 3 seconds. So I got rid of that, moved on to that. But yeah, other than that, everything's pretty much the same as my old build. So again, I'll just silently go over these so you can kind of take a peek. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask in the comments. But yeah, I won't go too long-winded into this stuff, so I'll just do a quick mouse over here. And there you go. So yeah, if you need to pause the video to check those out, by all means. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Again, I'm going to link the build in my description. I'll also link the video back to the old build in the end of this video. If you need to go back and look at that stuff, it's a little more in-depth. But yeah, I mean, it's feeling good. We're a little over 7,000 armor, a little over 7,000 life, almost 12,000 attack power. Yeah, it was a nice little, after all the juggling and stuff, it's felt pretty good. I do still have issues kind of starting up the twisting blades. We're a little bit weaker until that goes. And if we don't have our poison going, we're definitely a little bit weaker there too. But for the most part, it's felt really nice. I still melt bosses. Very good single target damage. Good enough ad clear. I've been running tier 36 to 39 nightmare dungeons right now at level 86, which we just hit. And it's felt fine. We're not really having any issues. The only time I ever die is if it's like a bunch of super hard CC, like cold affix elites, or just a mob of fanatics that explode and kill you in one shot. Other than that, we seem to do fine on the sustain, and yeah, I'm liking what we have so far. I really want to get Doombringer and see how well that plays out, just because with our bursting venoms, which is a lucky hit, you also have to crit as well, so there's a lot more at play to try and get this to proc, and I still proc it pretty often. So Doombringer, which doesn't need any special conditions, might actually proc quite a bit, and it sounds really nice. So hopefully I'll get lucky and pick that up and get to try that out. But for now, this is what we got. It feels good. And now I'm just like super min-maxing. Most of my stuff is kind of where I want it to be. So we'll see. We'll keep going, keep leveling, see what we get, see how the next Paragon board takes us, and go from there. But yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy.